Hello guys, I am Yogesh and welcome to in this video. In this video we are going to see what is Linux and what are the different commands, basic commands in Linux, and what are the different kind of flavors in Linux. So basically Linux is a kernel which was developed by Linus Torvald, and it is mostly using a lot of companies nowadays are using Linux. Why? Because Linux is secure and Linux is very optimized in terms of RAM and resource uses. Like for example, if you have a Windows PC and you have 4 GB of RAM, so around 2 GB of RAM will be always used by Windows. Means Windows is a very resource consuming operating system as compared to Linux. Linux can be installed in just 4 or 500 MB of RAM. So if I talk about puppy Linux, that is a very, we can say, minimal Linux we can install and we can use. So in terms of RAM uses and memory uses and also perform optimization, there are so many different use cases and so many different advantages of Linux. So now let's see what is Linux. So Linux is the operating system by using that user or applications can communicate with hardware components. Means using this operating system we can communicate to our hardware. Okay. Next thing in the Linux, like what is the feature of Linux. So basically Linux is a freeware and open source. So freeware and open source, we can say it is a FOSS, freeware and open source. So Linux is freeware and open source, and Linux can also be used by the multiple users at the same time, like user 1, user 2. All these users can use one system at the same time, hence we can say it is a multi-user operating system. Okay. Second is the thing is that this operating system can also perform multiple tasks at the same time, hence we can say that it is a multitasking operating system. Okay. And it is also user friendly because it comes with GUI also, and also CLI. What are these two things? So basically GUI stands for graphical user interface. Graphical user interface. Graphical user interface, like whatever the things we are seeing here, like this is a graphical user interface. We can see these things. Okay, we can control it using our mouse and we can give input to using our using our keyboard. So this is a graphical user interface, and we have command line interface. So command line interface is, we can say, a black screen. Command line interface. Okay, so what is command line interface in Linux? Terminal. The one thing that is very important here is that command line is used a lot. Why? Because command line we can run a lot of command here, and also command line consume, if we just have a command line operating system, this consumes very less RAM, very less RAM as compared to graphical user interface. So if I see terminal here, so this is my terminal, and if I see the RAM, so this is the RAM which is free, like you can say like 1.7 GB is used. But if you have purchased one system which only have 2 GB of RAM and you install graphical user interface, then I don't think so that you can use a lot of RAM there, right? So there's a different concept. So graphical user interface and command line interface. Now let's talk about yeah, if we compare Linux, with Windows. So with Windows, if you compare Linux, so Linux is very much secure in terms of anything. Linux is very much secure. It is not like in Linux, if you download anything, it will not it cannot be installed automatically, because if you download anything, it can only have one permission, that is read only. This file can't be installed until and unless you want to install. So that is the very much important feature of Linux, that Linux is very secure. Okay, now the thing is, what are the different flavors of Linux? So we have multiple flavors in Linux. Flavors in Linux, yeah, or you can say flavors of Linux. So first is Ubuntu. Ubuntu is also a free. Second one is Red Hat. Red Hat is a paid version, like RHEL. We call it Red Hat Enterprise Linux. 8 is the latest version of Red Hat. Then third is like Ubuntu. We have a Ubuntu 20.04, I think, latest. So Ubuntu 20.04. Then we have CentOS, Fedora. Okay, and we have Open Solaris, SUSE, and these different kind of Linux flavor we have, but these are most important or mostly uses. This is the mostly uses by the companies, and this is a freeware which we use. I am also using Ubuntu here. Now let's talk about some more things in Linux, like what is the component of Linux. So components in Linux, you can say of components of Linux. So components, like we have one hardware. Okay, on top of hardware we installed one kernel. On top of kernel we have cell. Okay, on top of cell we have applications, and on top of application, who are using application? So user. So this is basically components of Linux. I am again going to design it. uh, okay, so like this, we have firstly user, then we have application, then we have cell, then we have kernel, and then we have hardware. So this is the components of Linux. Now let's talk about what is cell and what is kernel, because hardware we know, like RAM, CPU, these are hardware. Application we know, any software. And user we know, end user. Okay, so what is cell and what is kernel? That is the topic. Cell. So cell is basically outer layer in Linux operating system, which basically used to check if you enter any command that is correct or not. So it is for checking or verifying the command whatever you have entered, and then it convert that command into kernel readable format. Kernel readable format. Okay, so in that format it convert, so that kernel can understand it and run that command. Now another important thing is that if everything is not proper, like if you enter anything wrong, so cell will give you error, like this command cannot be run, or command not found error. And also if everything is fine, then command will convert it to kernel readable format and hand over it to kernel. And we can say like cell interact as a mediator, we can say as an interface between user and our kernel, because cell is here. User type any command on cell and cell will give to kernel. If it's right, then it will go to kernel. If it's wrong, then it will go output will be shown to user, like command is not correct, please enter correct command, or you can say like command not found error. Now next thing is kernel. What basically is kernel? So kernel is the core component of our Linux operating system. it is responsible, this kernel responsible to execute whatever the command you entered here. So for example, you entered one ls command, so this kernel will be responsible to execute it. Okay, and then it will show the output to end user, then it will revert back to cell and cell will show the output to the user. Okay, and after that we have some more things. So now we will see some basic command of Linux. What are the basic command? Number one command that is very basic is ls. Ls means list. This command is used to list the content of current directory, content of present working directory, present working directory. So here you might have confusion with directory. So in Linux, directory is basically our folder. Okay, so this folder is known as directory. Like in Windows we called it as a folder, and Linux we call it as a directory. Okay, like we have a folder and inside folder we have multiple files. Okay, so this is a folder. Now if you need to create a directory, we have a different command, and if you go inside the directory we have different command. Now first see what is ls. So ls is used to display the current working directory or present working directory content. So we have ls. Okay, now if you want to display, so we can run the ls. Now let's see ls here. So if I will run ls, so it will show me the current content of this directory. Okay, so what is my directory here, I will show you after some time. And also we have different kind of switches in ls. We can have multiple different switches in ls, like ls-r. These switches can be used to display all files and directory in reverse of alphabetical order. Like you can say like anything is coming, like as of now they are coming I think in alphabetical order, ls-r. Okay, so now they are coming in a reverse alphabetical order. Like web server 1 is coming in the end, but now it is coming at top. Okay, so in reverse alphabetical order. Then if you want to display content line by line, then we have ls more command. So it will display content line by line, but this is basically not a very usable command. We just use ls and ls-l or la command. So ls-l command is basically to display long listing of file. Okay, like long listing, we can now see what are the permission and what are the different kind of things. But if you want to see hidden file also, then you can use ls-a command. So it will display all like hidden file also, like we can't see their hidden file, but now dot file, you know, like dot files are the hidden files. So we can now see the hidden files, and if we want to see like this all the permission also, so we can use ls-la command. Okay, so this is basically Linux command. Now we can see these kind of things. Suppose you want to create one file. So what happen in our Windows, if you want to create a file, you just go to your desktop or anywhere else, you just right click, and there you find one option like create a file or text file you can create. Okay, so this is the way in Windows you can create a file, but in Linux if you want to create, you need to use one command, that is a touch command you can use to create a file. So touch command we can use to create one file. How we can use? So just write touch and then file name, touch file12, whatever the name you want to give. So I'm going to create it. like touch, TUCH, touch file 12. So file 12 is created. If you want to see, you can either ls, or you can also use grep command to find it. Ls grep, whatever the file name, so file 12. So this is our file name, and we can see like file 12 has been created. Okay, now if you want to read this file, so in Windows, you can use double click and you can read this file, but in Linux we can use cat command to read it. Okay, so thank you so much guys for watching this video. We will see more command in further videos.